Hey guys and gals, Never here from Drakewing Gaming, and some of you on Twitter, the Gaming Dragon. Today I'm coming back at you another Let's Play episode of A Fall from Grace. Yeah, let's go ahead and jump right back in, shall we? Alarm chain, you were up, and let's go. Alright, the coyote looked away, too flustered to make proper eye contact. After a short pause, Ridley spoke again, noticing the fact Cedric was still standing near the tent's exit. Please sit down while you change your clothes, said. All the standing about business is starting to get a bit awkward. I would offer you a drink, but as you can see, I'm all out. Cedric thanked him and sat on the bed, setting the clean garments to his right and taking off his dirty jacket. He smiled nervously as the bear puffed his pipe in his chair. The coyote kept up the conversation, still feeling rather insecure, but also not being able to contain his own rabid curiosity. What specifically about me would you even call attractive? Do you really have such little self-confidence, lad? You take a lot of care in dressing well and appearing properly groomed each morning. You had me fooled. I suppose I always curate how I look. I just never thought of it that way. You're a well-spoken, modest, and elegant boy who knows what he wants and is ready to stand up for himself. Personally, I find that irresistible. Even Blake has told me he finds you hot, and he's extremely picky. It's insane. A merry Victor suddenly burst into the tent with a couple of drinks in his hands. Drinks all around! He shifted to a more serious tone, noticing he'd likely interrupted something. Is everything all right? You two have been gone for a while. Ridley replied before the befuddled coyote was able to even think about what to say. We're fine. I've been trying to instill some well-deserved self-confidence in Ced here. Told him both Blake and I find him attractive, and he still won't believe me. He thanked Victor, taking hold of his drink while Cedric buttoned up his new jacket. I'm sorry, I'm still stunned is all. You oughtn't be, my love. I'm just lucky I managed to steal you away before any of the other young blade did. The fox's eyes lit up. You know, I've had a fun idea. He turned to face the sun bear. How about a firearm contest between us, to pass the evening and to train Cedric's rifle skills? I like the sound of that. Blake could assist him when it's his turn. He's the firearms nut. Yes, that would be perfect. Does that sound good to you, sweetheart? Cedric smiled. It sounds brilliant. The bandits all spent the evening making merry, Cedric feeling the newfound sense of belonging for the place and his new companions growing ever stronger. The shooting contest was a success, and though the coyote felt a bit rusty after not having held a pistol in ages, he still managed to win a couple rounds, notably impressing the stern Doberman. During the meal that followed, Dion sat next to him, pretending to strike up a casual conversation at first, only to follow it up by asking Cedric for advice on a new script he was writing for a play called Nymphoriona, Queen of the Forest. Selwyn then showed the coyote some new sketches, explaining in detail the mechanical contraptions he'd conjured on paper. Once the meal was over, a tipsy Victor jokingly proclaimed that in the near future Cedric would be able to kill a man from a mile's distance with his amazing marksman skills. Bunch of sillies. This is what alcohol does to you, folks. This started off a series of imaginary bloody scenarios from each one of the bandits involving Cedric as the ruthless killer. The coyote himself was a bit put off by this, as he objected to the mere thought of murdering anyone, not to mention he hadn't imagined the bandits actually considered killing any of their victims an option. We merely jest, dear boy. Of course we don't expect a sweet youth such as yourself to turn into such a ruthless rogue. Nor does every rogue have to be a murderer. Exactly. That might only happen in extremely dangerous and unexpected scenarios. Though the others attempted to reassure the coyote, the uneasy thought of ending up in a deadly situation someday lingered in the back of his mind. He recalled Victor's tale of the two noblemen's duel in his old hideout. After toasting Cedric one last time, the group split up, each retiring to their tent for the night. Ridley scampered over to Cedric one last time, calling out his name to get his attention. I didn't get to say this to you earlier, Ced. Would you like to go for a walk with me tomorrow evening? I have a feeling the two of us could have a nice long chat together. And if not tomorrow, any evening you like, just let me know. That sounds lovely. Of course I will. Sleep well, Rid. Good night, lad. The bear replied with a wink and walked off in the opposite direction. Victor wrapped his left arm around Cedric's right. I have a feeling you like him as much as he likes you. The coyote gave a humorous reply. Whatever do you mean, my sweet fox? I find it very cute. V, you know I love you and that will never change. Of course, my darling. But I'll be honest and admit, Rid has successfully charmed me, on a surface level at least. There's just something about him I like, something that reminds me of you. I never thought of that, but you have a point. The two entered their tent as they conversed. Cedric sat down on the bed and began to undress, whilst Victor lit a couple candles. The dim light lent an intimate, magical aura to the space the two were in. Another near supernatural aspect was the fact Cedric was having a conversation he never thought he'd be having with anyone in his life up until that very moment. He'd never been in love before, and though he'd previously felt physical attraction towards certain people, his mind had always attempted to repress it. This really was the first time he was able to discuss it freely. It almost felt like being a teenager all over again and discovering what love and infatuation are for the first time, and feeling like the world is at your feet. You know, physical attraction and romances are two very different things, and even though many people will try to convince you they are one and the same, the coyote wasn't quite sure how to interpret that statement. Thinking it over, he realized Victor was right. What he discovered he felt for Ridley was not even remotely the same emotion he felt for the fox, but there must have been a reason why Victor was explaining it that way. So you're saying you don't mind? The fox lit one more candle, replying delicately, "Not at all, and the fact that you've been honest about it with me makes me love you even more." The fox took off his overcoat, slowly spinning around to gaze at Cedric lying naked on the bed. "You look even more irresistible in the candlelight, and to tell you the truth, I don't feel tired at all right now." He let his breeches slide down to the ground and took a step forward. "Are you in the mood for anything?" "Oh my! Another not safe for work seed! Hell yeah, bitches!" Let's already cover that one. I shall... Yes. Alright now. "You're so very gorgeous, V. But I'd rather save this for another evening, when I'm feeling a little less tired." Victor picked up his breeches a little awkwardly, folding them and laying them down at the foot of the bed. "Of course, it's up to you." Noticing the fox's smile, Cedric replied with a drowsy grin and turned, not wanting to disappoint his partner. "Come here, you rascal." As soon as Victor had sat down next to him, Cedric pulled him in for a tender kiss. The fox leaned in and kissed back, stroking Cedric's hair. A second, y'all. I really need some water. There we go. Okay. "You did very well today, and we make a great team. Thank you for everything. Good night, sweetheart. See you in the morning, my boy. My boy, my boy, my boy." Cedric was up early the next morning, so while Victor was still fast asleep, he decided to go for a quick walk in the forest after getting dressed. For the first time in what he reckoned were 3 or 4 months, the morning air felt chilly on his fur. After an enchanted summer, autumn was inevitably on its way. The poetic landscape of the woodland the coyote had now gotten used to calling his home was awash with the warm morning light and thrill-echoing birdsong. Thinking to himself, he realized he was already aware of how sad he would feel on the day the group decided it would be better to leave in search of a new hideout. This was a moment in his life he was going to treasure the memory of in the coming years, that much he was sure about. He walked beside the murmuring stream, watching the sunlight grow brighter over the distant and quaint view of Hittingston Town, hidden behind the theatrical setting of a row of secular trees. The strong sense of being an outsider looking in was ever present at his side as he observed the tiny figures of the villagers going about their daily lives, along with carts, carriages, livestock, and groceries being transported in and out of town. However, the coyote was no longer a lonely outcast. He had found the group he knew he belonged with, and it was a feeling he'd never had a chance to experience before that filled him with joy, almost to the point of making him want to dance all by himself as he wandered the shady greenery. Now that he'd begun to steadily improve his banditry skills, now that he'd started to grow closer with the others, now that his relationship with Victor had gotten off to a strong start, he felt, perhaps naively, that he could take on any challenge the world sent his way. He knelt down by the watercourse to give his muzzle a quick rinse, gathering the cool water in his hands. He was feeling productive. Perhaps cooking some breakfast for himself and the fox could be added to the day's agenda. Reaching the camp 10 minutes later, he noticed the bed the two were sharing was now empty, meaning Victor was finally awake. Perhaps the fox had also opted for a morning walk to stretch his legs. Cedric knocked on the squeaky door to Hollis's carriage. This was followed by the sleepy tiger's appearance a few seconds later. "Morning, Ced. What can I do for you?" "I'm sorry, Hollis. Do you have any bacon and sausages stored away with your supplies? I was thinking of cooking some breakfast for Via and I. I can make something for you, too, if you'd like." Hollis yawned loudly and stretched his tired muscles. "Yes, I do, and yes, that'd be most appreciated. It's a real pleasure to hear someone offer to cook something for me for a change." He wandered back inside the vehicle, re-emerging shortly after with the meat Cedric had asked for. "I think these should do." Cedric beamed, his stomach beginning to make itself heard. "They're more than enough, thanks. Do you know where Victor is, by the way? I went for a morning walk, and now that I'm back, he's not in bed anymore." "I'm not sure. I'm barely awake, to be honest. Though I think I heard him speaking to Blake. They might have gone for a quick hike by themselves. I see. I'll let you know when breakfast is ready. Thanks, Ced. Much appreciated. The coyote took a while to cook everything just the right amount. By the time he felt he was done, the sausages and bacon looked and smelled delicious. No sooner had he begun to walk over to the tiger's carriage to let him know the food was ready that he caught sight of the fox heading back towards the camp, with a notably excited air about him. Food's ready, Hall! Coming! Victor gave Cedric a quick kiss once he reached the spot where the coyote was standing. What is this delicious smell, darling? Well, I'm feeling productive today, so I thought I'd start by cooking breakfast for the both of us. Aw, you didn't have to. That's wonderful. I can't wait to try what you've made. The coyote picked up a few spare tin plates Hollis had cleaned the prior evening, scraping the sizzling hot meat onto them and handing them to Victor and the tiger. Oh, second, y'all. Okay. Blah. Ah, get out of my eye, you little bitch. There we go. Okay. Alright. Had a hair in my eye. Had to get it out. Okay. I hope you don't mind me not hanging around with you, but I prefer to have breakfast by myself as part of my morning routine. No problem at all. You know where to find us if you need anything. Hollis disappeared from sight, leaving the two lovers by themselves around the warm campfire. This warmth will soon be a blessing once the winter comes around. Victor lifted his eyebrows after taking a bite off one of the sausages. Since when were you also a great cook, my dear? Just something I chose to practice every once in a while, never knowing when it might come in handy. I'm sure enough it has. These are fantastic. As Victor chewed on the meat, he spoke up again, still notably excited, as to why Cedric was still in the dark. I'm excited, as you can probably tell, and that's because I've received some very good news. And Blake told me he came across a couple of bandits hiding out in another part of the forest last night. I didn't see him, slick as he is, but he overheard them both boasting about a successful robbery they just pulled off as they dined. And from the description he gave, these two matched the appearance of a couple of rotten scoundrels I was once unfortunate enough to stumble upon. Blake even saw the sacks of the loot they'd thrown about on the ground next to them, and I'm telling you, it was no beggar's money, but fine silver, gold, and sparkling jewels. Alright, I'm actually going to pause it right there. Thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, ring that notification bell. I love you all, and I'll see you all in the next video. Also, y'all, don't forget to subscribe to our Patreon. Anyway, bye-bye!